The Stock of the Day is brought to you by IG, Australia's #1 CFD provider. With over 17,000 markets and extended trading hours, turn US earnings season volatility into opportunity. Get started at IG.com.
Now, our stock of the day, as mentioned, not a small cap. It is ResMed, the company posting a 10% jump in revenue for the second quarter to $1.3 billion US dollars. Operating profit rising 52%, and the device maker has operating cash flow of $309 million US dollars. Chief Executive Mick Farrell saying the company is well positioned to capitalise on the once-in-a-generation opportunity relating to consumer wearables that track sleep health, as well as the GLP-1 weight loss drugs. And in fact, we caught up with Mick Farrell just a short time ago. Here's what he had to say about supply chain initiatives and gross margins.
And what we're doing is bringing a whole lot of that science into our supply chain management. So what you're going to see from ResMed is investments in technology and infrastructure. And that means we can get more cost reductions, more efficiency and more capability for our system. And hopefully we can manage pricing appropriately so that we can keep gross margins in a very strong position going forward.
That is Mick Farrell. Shares not moving a lot, down marginally today. So let's get some analysis. Luke, hopefully you're back with us. Now, of course, this took a big tumble when we saw the emergence of those GLP-1 drugs. But Mick Farrell certainly putting a spin on it, saying, look, this is actually a benefit. How are you looking at it?
Yeah, look, I mean, he said that originally, and the market was obviously very sceptical at the time. As time has passed, though, and obviously the share price has recovered. There's the chart there, but you know the fundamental operating business has done really well over that time as well. My main note here, I mean, ResMed's quite a popular stock on the call, so it comes up quite frequently. Gross margins were an issue for this business. They fell into the low 50s, 52, 53% for a period there, but this latest report, they're right back up into the high 50s, 50, 58, close to 59%. Revenue still growing at that steady 10% clip. So you're seeing some nice accretion to the bottom line. And I tend to agree with Mick. Look, the GLP-1s, is that a long-term, the effect of ResMed, I'm not quite sure. One thing they did call out, though, on the call, and I wholeheartedly agree, is you're seeing a lot of the consumer-facing businesses like Apple, Samsung, Google, with their wearable devices, now look to do some form of sleep testing. And I think that, there's a lot of chatter about the amount of people who are unaware of a potential sleep apnea problem. So I think the potential for these consumer devices to unlock this latent addressable market where people don't realize they have a problem until they wear the Apple Watch, wear the Samsung Ring, whatever it may be. They get an alert, maybe their sleep's not as good as it was. You go to a sleep center, get tested, end up with a ResMed machine. So I think it's a big tailwind for these guys. Rough back of the envelope numbers, multiples in that high 20s. I think that's fine. Look, I think for a long-term investor, this is a really good company, continues to chug along. So I think this is still a buy, even on that, recovery in the share price we've seen.
Yep, okay. Now, Richard, bearing in mind, I think you had about 2 minutes to take a look at this. You were unaware that we were going to do it, but nonetheless...
Oh, that's okay. Well, I mean, I think, just on the weekend, I was talking to someone who was saying, Canadian, who was saying CPAPs sort of changed their lives. I mean, this is a change-your-life product. But the question is how much you pay. And I would say, I've actually owned SomnoMed for a long time, which does a dental device, which is not a CPAP, less invasive, I guess. But, we've seen SomnoMed come off like some really low kind of multiples and like some low prices and sort of accelerate 30-40%. You're not going to see that, like as Luke says, this is a stock for long-term holders. It's a blue chip kind of company, but I would just struggle to justify paying 5 times sales, 20 plus PE, at least 20 PE. Like with the guy, what the guy was saying was we've got some big capex coming ahead of us. Like these technology companies are spending more and more to stay in business, and I think that's been a trend, that we've seen, at all levels of technology. And I prefer stocks that can make a more difference to my portfolio in the shorter term at the moment. Stocks that are, please forgive me, under the radar.
So, would you hold it though?
I'm tempted always to take profits if my ownership is like in a multiple basis. Like if I've owned it and it's doubled, tripled, and this stock has really, like Luke was saying, recovered off the back of some gross margin improvement.
Yep.
But you know, it's going to be real. It gets much harder to get growth when you're big, doesn't it? I mean, that's by definition. It's just mathematical. So I prefer turnarounds, and I think the turnaround has occurred.
So, taking profit from your point of view. All right, that is our stock of the day, ResMed.
The stock of the day was brought to you by IG. Turn volatility into opportunity this US earnings season with extended trading hours on over 110 key US shares. Get started at IG.com.